this song. This is part of a David Bowie song from Station to Station. The song's called Station to Station. It's a pretty long song, but it's a ripping jam, man. The whole time it's really good. I really enjoy it. Yeah, it rocks. It's pretty good. It's one of my favorite Dave Bowie songs. So I live in North Idaho. I know people don't know that. Some do. And every day when I go places, I just want to take fucking pictures of everything. Like everywhere I live, everywhere I go, I want to take pictures. And I realize that taking pictures of where I live, like when someone on vacation and shit, and I don't want to go on vacation. I just wanted to have time off and be here. Like I fucking love it here. And I think that's something that people from here understand and other places don't. I had a friend of mine one time. He was like, "Wait, you're going on a summer vacation?" I was like, "Well, we're gonna go down to Vegas. You know, wife wants to go to Vegas, whatever." He's like, "Why would you go on vacation?" He's like, "Save that for the winter." And he's fucking right, because this is the prettiest place in the world to live, man. I love it up here so much. And yeah, so sunroof is open, windows down a little bit, cranking some music. It's a good fucking time. It's only 53 degrees, so it's not blazing hot here right now, but it sure is a great fucking place to be. And yeah. So I actually wanted to talk about a few things, and I forgot what they were to start off with, but I know it'll come to me in a second. I just was so excited. I went to the doctor, got my arm looked at after that surgery that I had. He says that I am well ahead of any normal healing process. I'm 10 weeks in basically, and he says I'm further than most people at 3 or 4 months, so that's good news. He was really surprised at how strong the tendon was. He did some tests, and I was pulling on shit and whatever, and he was just blown away. So that's good. I've always been a fast healer. Almost always been a fast healer, so that's nice to know that that trend is continuing, especially with something that's important. And I worked it pretty hard this weekend. I probably overdid it a little bit, but Teresa and I had a lot of work to do at the house. You know, COVID's really put a damper on our ability to get the time we need to do the things we got to do at the house. Because plus the money, holy crap, lumber and all the stuff has gone up like 3 times. A sheet of plywood that used to be like $9 is now like $27 or more. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So, yeah, holy crap. Today I have a tune at 230. It's I think it's an 05 STI if I recall correctly. Not too crazy. You know, medium-sized turbo. You know, nothing super fancy. There's no exciting tune videos on that. But I am working on this Porsche right now. I've been working on it for a while, and we got it running the other day, but the EMS is an old Adaptronic and 440, and he's asking it to do some things that really it's not made to do. And one of those is to drive multiple coils off of one output, and the signal strength is really low. The Porsche coils that he's using, I think their input impedance is too low. Now, if you know what that means is that the resistance on the sensing side of the circuit is too low, and so it requires more current to drive the circuit in these smart coils. So if you think of an igniter circuit as kind of like an amplifier, it's kind of what it is really. If the whole coil really is a kind of amplifier, then an ideal amplifier would have an infinite input impedance, and what that means is that the ideal amplifier would take the absolute least amount of current or signal strength or energy, however you want to look at it, to drive that circuit, and then it would amplify it, you know, to an infinite output with, you know, no voltage drop kind of thing. So, you know, ideal circuits and actual circuits are quite different. So unfortunately, all amplifier circuits have an impedance or resistance that is fairly high. Some of them are kind of low, and I think in the case of these Porsche coils, I think the input impedance is too low, and that's causing the Adaptronic to not be able to ignite them or set them off very well. Sometimes they just don't fire at all. The spark is not very bright, but if you unplug one and run it on 3 cylinders, the spark becomes very bright and they trigger very reliably. So really what it boils down to is we're asking too much of the Adaptronic, and so because of that, and because this 440 only has 3 outputs, well, it's got 4, but that doesn't do any good for a 6-cylinder. Since we only can use 3 outputs, we're going to go full sequential instead of wasted spark, because right now it's wasted spark and batch fire injectors. So we're going to go full sequential injection and full sequential ignition. He already has all the sensors for that. And so we're going to put a Link G4X Fury in it. And that system was made to be one of the best 6-cylinder standalone systems. Its function and purpose. So if you're interested in the Porsche, it's an 87. I guess they call it a 930, maybe? It's got the big whale tail on it. It's a beautiful car. It's white with the red interior. The whole thing's immaculate. It's got a built motor in it. It's a 3.4 liter, which is larger than the factory one. It's got a big turbo in it. 60. Oh shit! I forget. 60-something millimeter turbo in it. It's healthy and a big top mount on it. Now, the Porsche intercoolers are all top mounts, and really this is like a rear top mount because it's still on top of the engine in the back of the car, right? But it's a super cool car, and I wish I could easily attach pictures to a stream, because if I could, I would do that right now so you guys could see it. Beautiful white Porsche. Like I said, the big whale tail that everyone loves on the old Porsches. It's really nice. And when we put this Link in it, we're adding flex fuel in it. It's got ID injectors already. And so we're, like I said, we're going full coil unplug. Well, it's already coil unplug. We're going full sequential injection and ignition. So that's going to be really nice. Should run really, really well. The new G4X has a really good out of control strategy on it that I like. Out of control strategy, it takes a little bit out of your hands, which made me uncomfortable the first time I tuned on it because I'm really picky about how I like my out of control stuff. But it turned out to work really well. You set a target and you give it a range, and you can change the PIDs on it, and you get really good idle. I was really impressed with it. So if you're looking at a G4 Plus versus G4X, the G4X is a significant upgrade to the Plus, not just because of the different out of control strategies, but also, I am tongue-tied this morning. 20 dwarves took turns doing handstands on the carpets, right? That's the exercise you're supposed to do to improve your enunciation. Anyways, the G4X has math channels in it that allow you to make calculations based on inputs and then operate off those calculations, which is really freaking sweet. I use that for fueling on my car. I use it for the fueling for the VE map instead of just regular map, that kind of thing. Also, what else? The math channels, and then just has faster, more capable processors and all of those things. Sorry, I'm driving, so got to be attentive to the road as well. I can't just stare at the camera, right? Anyway, so that Porsche is really cool. I'm gonna do a stream on that Porsche next time I work on it, so that should be fun. You guys get to hear it. I was actually surprised how quiet it was, and thankfully it doesn't sound too much like a Volkswagen. What else? GTR. We're working on a couple of GTRs in the shop right now, older ones, R32s. One of them has got a built motor, and we've been working on it we've had it for like almost a year now. But we just keep finding shit wrong with it, and we're trying to get it all ironed out for the guy so that it runs good, and it's got things routed wrong, it's got oil leaks, it's a bunch of stuff that's goofed up. The exhaust was done very poorly. The whole turbo back exhaust is, almost all of it is just a complete eyesore. You look at it and just shake your head. This exhaust is supposed to support 1,000 horsepower. No, that's not going to happen. It's just made very poorly, unfortunately. And the car's got a GTX 3584 RS on it, which is a fucking moving turbo. I think the thing was like 1,050 horsepower rated or something like that. So it's got a big ass turbo on it, and it should do really good, except that it didn't like to hold the exhaust in between the turbo and the engine because one of the flanges was warped like a freaking horseshoe. Holy crap, it was so bad. And the exhaust doesn't want to leave the engine because it doesn't have mandrel bends. It's got like straight cut pipe that's cut at an angle, and then with a flange welded on it. So like there's no, it's just, yeah, it's bad. There's some really bad stuff in the exhaust, so it needs to be gone through if the guy really wants to hit these horsepower numbers. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen. It's a beautiful car though. It's a white R32 actual GTR. Not a GTST or any of the other ones that we often get over here. Although I honestly prefer the GTSTs, I think, because I like the rear-wheel drive instead of the all-wheel drive. But that being said, beautiful car. When that thing gets closer to being operational, I will definitely do streams on that. We're also designing a coil-on plug setup for it. There's some systems out there that are available for it, but holy crap, are they expensive? They want like $1,000. And I'm like, dude, this isn't a fucking Corvette, right? There's gonna be Corvette tax on this shit. They just want too much damn money for it, for a system that literally probably costs $380 to do. And 150% freaking markup is that's excessive. So anyways, what else was I gonna say about that? So anyways, we're doing our own coil-on plug setup using some pretty beefy coils, and so it's gonna have plenty of spark energy. Those things don't have enough spark energy to add ethanol and make big horsepower on them from the factory. They barely have enough spark energy for the stock turbos. After they've been 20 years old, the coils just degrade so bad that it's not even worth it. And they have an external igniter and then dumb coils. We're going to smart coils, ditching the igniter and going to smart coils. So it'll be good. I'm really excited for that too. There's a lot of cool things going on right now. There's a bunch of stuff that's kind of in limbo as well due to supply issues, man. COVID's really kind of screwed up our supply issues. And then of course there's the short block issue that we've been having, trying to get short blocks that are machined correctly. So yeah, that's been fun. They're not IGN-1A coils, actually. We wanted to do that, but those things are really sensitive to grounding, and you gotta have like 3 or 4 grounds per coil. It's ridiculous how many ground wires and where the grounds have to be, and if you don't do them, they can create some issues. So on a car like this that's older and has some wiring that may be suspect, and then lots of aftermarket stuff, like it has boost controllers and turbo timers and something signal converters and all kinds of aftermarket blitz and HKS and Greddy things all over it. It just isn't a good idea to go to something like that, because any of those could start creating problems with the ground loops and that kind of shit, and then you're like, wow, my coils don't trigger properly, and so I just don't I don't think doing IGN-1As is going to be the right answer. So it's a 3-wire coil. It's actually coils that the company made for the N55. I had it in my house, and I was like, you know what, we can use these. These would be great. And luckily, with a full standalone, I had full control over what kind of signal I feed it, so that's really nice. What else? Alright. Just want to make sure there wasn't any messages popping up as I'm driving there. Now I'm at the shitty part of town. I mean, it's still beautiful. And then mountains. And this whole area is surrounded by mountains everywhere. It's great. My place looks like a freaking city park right now. All the grass is growing up. It's all about like this tall everywhere. And it's just 10 acres of beautiful green, luscious grass. It's freaking amazing. I sit by the window, not the window, the shades pulled open. I can lay there in bed and just look out the window. It's so pretty. And the mountains in the background and the trees and everything. It's just beautiful. I love it up here. Just got a text message. No, damn it. I left fucking forever ago when I texted you. Shit. Let's see. I guess that's it. I just wanted to say I love where I fucking live, and give you guys some updates on some cars in the shop. And I don't really have much else right now. I do have some funny stories that I want to get around to eventually, but not when I'm driving and holding the phone. Maybe when I strap it up somewhere or something. I got some pretty funny ones that I think would be entertaining for all. So if there aren't any questions, I just appreciate you guys stopping by. I just want to give you, just a little happy Monday, really. Like it's a beautiful day. Last night was a major windstorm. Holy crap! The wind was so bad it tore 2 bushes out of the ground at my house. This whole area was just blown to shit. It was a beautiful day, just like this yesterday, and then in the evening, boom, freaking the windstorm, and then now it's beautiful as shit again. So, I mean, at least not 3 inches or feet of snow like it is over on the East Coast and stuff. But otherwise, looks like it's gonna be a beautiful week. I got a lot of cars on the schedule, a lot of cool stuff, and some race cars, a couple Dodges actually. I got some Dodges on the schedule. One's a Viper V10 swapped 68 Coronet, and then a modern Dodge Challenger with that freaking thing that I absolutely fucking hate to hear. It makes you want to punch a baby when someone says Scat Pack. Like, I just want to jump up and curb stomp somebody when they say Scat Pack. I fucking hate it. I'm not sure what I hate so much about it. Maybe because scat means shit. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's fitting. It's a Dodge, right? So yeah, shit pack. It's Dodge. Yep, makes sense. Shit box. Oh, now I love it. Scat Pack literally means shit box. That's great. I feel better now. Fuck Dodges, man. Holy shit. What do you got? Challenger, shit box. Yeah. Oh, you mean the Scat Pack? No, yeah, shit box. Yeah, same thing. Perfect. I love it. I just started the new thing. Yeah, so some Dodge shit box is coming in. It's one of the modern ones. It's got some exhaust problem or something, so Lane will be welding up an exhaust. And on Wednesday, pretty sure it's Wednesday, I'm doing a it's called a Europa. I think it's called a Europa. It's like a kit car, and it's got a 2-liter Ford Z-Tech 4-cylinder with a big turbo on it and some standalone EMS I've never freaking heard of before. So I get to tune that for a gentleman. He's driving over from Oregon. He's a funny guy. He's like, "What time's my appointment?" I said, 10:30 a.m. He's like, "All right, sweet, I'll leave by 7." I said, "Sir, you're like 6.5 to 7 hours of a drive." "Oh, you don't think I'll make it?" Like, no, man. Like, unless your average towing speed's like 140 something miles an hour, like, you ain't gonna fucking make it, man. I don't know what you. Oh, okay, well, I'm gonna leave by 6 then. I'm like, I think that there's a numbers thing going on here that the guy's missing. That's, well, your appointment's at 10:30 a.m. If you come the night before, which I'd probably advise since it is such a long drive, you can stay in the hotel right next door. And they give our customers a slight discount. But yeah, I was like, no. So then he calls me like 4 times the next day, asks me when his appointment was again. And I'm like, dude, yeah, 10:30. Okay, I'll leave by 7. Like, okay, we're having this conversation again. All right. So I have no idea if he's going to show up on time or not. I think I left the afternoon tune open just because I was worried that this guy might not even freaking make it until noon or something. But if he does make it and the car turns out to be cool, I will definitely do a stream on that, talking about that car. It's not a huge turbo nothing, but it's part of a racing series, one of those Legends Racing Series cars, and some of those cars are just really cool. They're not impressive power-wise. They make 300 something wheel or something like that. Sometimes a lot more. But it's just a neat car. Like Lindsay's car, he has a Merker how's it called again? The MK4 or whatever the hell it is, 4TI thing. It looks like the Escort Cosworth. He has all the Cosworth looking stuff on it, so it looks just like an Escort Cosworth, and it's a cool car. He's got a Ford bottom end with a Volvo dual overhead cam head swap on it. We put a GTX 30R on it. Yeah, we did a bunch of cool shit, and it made great power and runs amazing. And I mean, it was a small 30R, so I say great power, but you know, it was like 380 or 400 wheel, you know, that kind of thing. But it's just a cool fucking car, and I like doing cool fucking cars. Like that Porsche, it'll probably make 400 wheel, you know, something around there. But in that 2,700 pound car, it's rear wheel drive, it's gonna fucking rip, man. And I like those cars. I like doing unique stuff. I like doing race cars. I love doing race cars. I mean, that's kind of where I started anyway. So endurance racing, hill climb, that kind of stuff is truly my passion, and I love doing it. I mean, hell, the car I did still has the record that we set in dropping my phone, that we set in 2015 going to Pikes Peak, right? So that's something. But we want to do it again. We want to get better. Want to beat the time even more. So we're excited about that. Yeah, so if you got cool stuff, you know, I like to tune it. Have fun with it. I'm merging on the highway. Apologize for the dramatic pause and silence here as I get on the highway. The other highway. Hopefully this HHR goes a little faster. Just a little faster, please. 40 miles an hour is not the appropriate merging speed. Oh, 45, you animal. You're just a fucking animal. Get on with your bad self. 51? Holy shit, you're blowing me away. I can't fucking believe it. I mean, it's only a 65. It's only a 65. Let's go. All right, here's 65. Jesus Christ. These fucking people. Who merges on the highway at 30 fucking miles an hour? At least this guy got with the 51. But like these two entrances here, exit 12 and 11, man, you get behind someone doing 35, and you're like, come on, baby. There's a whole row of semis coming down the highway right now that all have to make crazy emergency freaking steps or you know, lane changes to avoid hitting your dumb ass. So yeah, someone's asked a question. I am on the way to the shop right now, actually. Gonna line 90. Yeah, that's the fucking truth, Travis. Whee! Alright. Set my cruise here at 78. Oops, I turned it off. There we go, that's the right button. There we go. This thing's amazing. This thing gets like fucking 35 miles per gallon sometimes. If I get a slight tailwind, this thing will do. Well, yesterday, that's dumb. Friday, on the way to the shop, I had a tailwind. Drops out. Once I get over this little hip, I'll get my signal back. I'm gonna avoid talking too much during that time. I really should just like strap this thing up, right? Here you go. You guys can drive with me. California, go home. Too many of you guys here. Yeah, one of those assholes. Oh shit. I think the signal's back. We've had it for a while now. Alright. Look at this. Look at all them trees in the mountains over there. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. Let's see, I saw a question pop up. So yeah, hope all is well. See you Thursday to pick up my turbo. Pick up a turbo. That must be a Chase thing. Cars. Cali cars should be illegal in Idaho. I fucking agree, Igor. They should just pull them over and take them instantly. So I'm really bummed out. Igor and I were talking about this the other day. Apparently our track is closed down. What a fucking shit show, man. They can't keep Spokane Raceway open because now, with the housing market going so absolutely insane, they want to build houses there or condos or some shit. So we're not going to have a racetrack anymore. Or we don't have a racetrack anymore. And that's really a bummer. So I've been looking at land and trying to find something with enough space to do it. My property is a quarter mile long, so unless I put a parachute or a giant net at the end of it, I can't use that. Unless I did 8 mile drags, but 8 miles sucks. I mean, staying in line to run the quarter mile takes too fucking long as it is for such a short time. That already sucks. Then to go half the distance than 8 mile, it just doesn't appeal to me at all. I wouldn't want to do any 8 mile racing. The only 8 mile racing I like doing is when the car I'm in is way too fucking fast for the certification of the cage, and I have to let out at the 8th. Then it's okay, but otherwise, yeah, I don't want to do that shit. So we really need to get a track, something out here, another quarter mile track that we can have a good time with. The guy that owns the property in front of me has got enough room, but you know, he farms on it. Like, who does that? He grows food for people. People need to eat. They need to race. God, I'm such a fucking nerd sometimes. All right. Anyways, I don't know what else to say. I'm just burning time at this point. So if anybody got any questions about anything they want to hear about, I will happily tell them a story. Otherwise, I'm just on my way to the shop. Get some shit done. Maybe design a cooling system for Tanner, or at least fix his cooling system in his car. That's it, man. 8 miles cool, home-built karts. Dude, I mean, I'll do an 8 mile course at the house if it's for small shit. You know, like snowmobiles and stuff, you know, snow machines. Want to do snow machine 8 mile racing? I'll do that. Do quad 8 mile racing? We'll do quads. Hell yeah. I'll do that. But I'm not taking my full-size car that's, you know, 800 horsepower and going 8 mile. It's boring as shit. I'd rather be on a track anyways. I mean, if it was my call, I would go to a track day every weekend, which I used to do back in Hawaii. I lived in Hawaii back in the 2000, so a while ago. We had a Hawaii Raceway Park, and at that place, we would race 4 times a week. We had 2 drag race nights. We had track racing. They had a long and a short course, and then they had autocrosses that we did there. So I was racing 4 days a week when I wasn't out at sea. I put 29,000 miles on my RS in the first year I owned it, and I was gone for almost 9 months of that year. So it was a lot of effing miles doing racing and going back and forth, partying in Honolulu from where I lived on the other side of the island. But man, I love road racing so much more than drag racing. So I wish we had a road racing track that wasn't even closed down up here. I would do that. As long as I can afford the tires and the fuel, right? That's just the best way to go. Hill climb is a freaking blast too. Obviously, there's a slightly higher danger aspect to hill climb. But I don't know any hill climb events here in North Idaho. I'm not opposed to starting some. I'm sure there'd be some good roads for that. There's a bunch of hill climbs on the West Coast, Oregon and Washington and that kind of stuff. I watched the 3-person roundtable about de-strokers. Yeah, they sure talked about me a lot, right? But didn't give me the opportunity to even be part of it, which is a bummer because I talked to Micah like a couple times a week. I mean, we were roommates for Christ's sake. And by roommates, I literally in a room. I slept on his floor. So, and that was when we invented the de-stroker. One day I was like, hey man, what if we shortened the stroke and just made the difference up in rod length? And then we nerded out on numbers, and then that was it. That was 2005. And I think it was either 06 maybe 07 that I built my first one. Clint Bogus there from Turning Concepts mentioned my piston compression matrix. I do still have that. That's like every shelf piston part number and dish volume, every rod length and crankshaft combination and cylinder head combination in this huge matrix that I have that gives you the final compression ratio based on, and then I have numbers on the side and the margin that you can change if you wanted to, but it's based on head gasket thickness, block height, and all that kind of stuff, chamber volumes and things like that. But yeah, it's a pretty matrix. I did that shit, I don't know, 2009, 2010, I started making that matrix. I did it because I was doing a lot of the custom engines back then. We were selling a lot of D-strokers at the time. And then they kind of fell off. And then Travis Pastrana's car came out recently. Now they're back on again. But we were doing a lot of D-strokers at the time, and not everybody would pay for custom pistons with the ceramic coating, the horizontal gas ports, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I made the matrix so we can do a lower cost version of the D-stroker and make sure everyone had the right compression ratio. Because you may or may not know, if I have a piston that's at 9.5 to 1 compression, and then I shorten the stroke by 4 millimeters and lengthen the rod by 2, it's no longer 9.5 because the volume at the bottom of the cylinder is less than it was before with the other stroke. So on average, you lose around 0.4 compression points or numbers, I would say. Come on, Dingleberry. I think minivans are the worst. Next to cars from California is any minivan whatsoever. Any minivan whatsoever, just the worst. Highest compression ratio you've done with a D-stroke EJ? 10? It was 10.1 or something like that. It's right around 10. I did that on I think it was a +4 as well on that one. So 4 millimeter longer rods, billet crank. I had to use D25 heads at the time because it was hard to get a piston that would work with the larger chamber size of the B25, V25, W25 heads, because they're like 57-ish cc's, and then the D25 head is like 49.5 to 50.5 cc's, and so that makes a difference in compression ratio. And so it was easier to use the D25 head. Overall, I'm not a big fan of the D25 head's chamber. It burns pretty quick up top, pretty slow down low, which you think would be kind of a good thing, but just something about it. I don't know if it's because the valves are a little more shrouded than the other head. And I'd like to modify the chamber. I actually have a quench-free chamber design that I catted up using some scans that a friend of mine sent me of an actual W or B25 head, and then I modeled that and then set the cuts where I wanted it, and it's a very low quench design, almost no quench, and that's strictly for the purpose of extremely high RPM use. Quench is really helpful, especially down low on street motors. So I would never put a no quench design on a street motor. That would be a huge mistake. And really eliminating quench under 7,000 isn't really going to help much either. But getting rid of quench for higher than 7, the 9s and the 10s and 11s, that kind of stuff, will make a difference. Subaru actually reduced quench dramatically on the version 7, 207. The AJ207 has like jack shit for quench, and they did it in the piston. They actually dropped the piston compression height dramatically, and gave it just a flat top. Actually had a little dome to the top, and so people, for some reason, they saw that and they immediately thought, oh, this is a high compression piston. But what they didn't realize is the compression height was dropped like 35 thou or something like that. So the engine had like 70 plus thou of distance from the piston to any of the nearest quench pads. So it had like practically no quench. And It worked pretty well. I mean, people love the version 7 207. They think it's the best one out there, and it seems to make pretty good power. But people also, like I said, mistake it for being a high compression engine, only because they saw those domed pistons and thought, oh, it's high compression. But nope, it's not. It's 8 to 1, if I recall correctly. It's actually lower compression, because they took that piston, they brought the whole top down of the piston. And it seems to work, carry power to 8 pretty well. So I don't know. It's kind of a dog down low though. The version 7 is kind of a dog down low, and I think it's because of the lack of quench. Almost to the shop now. Last 2 turns, and I get to go harass everybody. Hey, there's Kevin. Kevin's the new guy at the shop. I really like Kevin. I think that's his car. It looked like it. Hi, Kevin. And my guess is he's getting lunch or something, and no one asked me if I wanted anything. That's what usually happens. They get it and never ask. Although it is 1:20, so they might have already done lunch. If you're running big ass cam, you gotta go high compression. Just gotta get that out there too. If you're using a cam that's got a lot of overlap, you're probably gonna want higher compression than lower compression, because if you have low compression and a cam with a lot of overlap that you can't get rid of, that's the key, right? If you can't get rid of the overlap, then you want to squish that extra exhaust gas out of there. If you think about it this way, if you have a 10 to 1 engine, then that means that you have less space when the piston's at top dead center versus an 8 to 1 engine. You have more space. And turbo drive pressure or exhaust gas back pressure is often well over boost pressure. Like, it's extremely rare that it's ever lower than boost pressure near horsepower range, like the peak horsepower and stuff. It definitely happens when you're down less than like 3,000 RPM or something. It definitely can be better. But where the power is being made, if you have low compression and a ton of overlap and you're running a lot of boost, then your exhaust gas back pressure or drive pressure, whatever you want to call it, in the manifold at the outlet of the exhaust valve is very high. It's usually 2 times that of your boost pressure. So if you think about it, when the piston comes to top dead center, you have all of that freaking 60 psi of exhaust gas trapped in there. But if you also have a lot of overlap, you're pushing that into the intake for one. And then when the exhaust valve shuts, you have some in the intake and you have some in the cylinder. We have what's available in the cylinder is all high pressure exhaust gas. Now, I can then draw down, the piston goes down the exact same amount, regardless of compression ratio, right? It's always based on stroke, it goes down that much, and it adds that volume. And in the factory EJ 2.5, it's going to be 2.4, 87 cc or liters or whatever, right? So you're getting exactly that much drawdown. So now take that ratio again. If I had 1/10 of that, is that high pressure exhaust gas, or 1/8 of that is that high pressure exhaust gas, right? There's a lot more high pressure exhaust gas in 1/8 than there is in 1/10. So you're gonna, I should probably kill this Wi-Fi, because the Wi-Fi here is absolute fucking trash. There you go. Get off the Wi-Fi here, because it's absolute crap. So if I have a lot more of that exhaust gas in there, then as the piston goes down, it expands more, occupies more space, and then you have less space for boost, right? Less space for the intake charge. Plus what comes in the manifold, the gas is in there too. So if I have higher compression, whoop, I squish that volume up a little bit, then I can have less of that high pressure exhaust gas trapped in the cylinder when the exhaust valve closes. Some people say, oh yeah, overlap bleeds off compression. Well, that's kind of what they're saying when you look at that. It's that side of it, but also the other side of it is at lower RPM. If you have a lot of duration on a big ass cam, that piston's moving up the cylinder again, it'll push some of that charge back out into the intake manifold before the intake valve shuts all the way. So like a really big cam, I say a really big street cam, I should be specific on that. The intake valve closes probably 50 to 60 degrees after bottom dead center. On a good size street cam, it's usually in the 40s. And then on like a smaller factory cam or something, that's like in the 20s, right? So if I'm adding if I have a bunch of duration and I push all that air back out before the intake valve closes, then my compression ratio calculation is the same, but the real world compression that's achieved in the engine is less because I pushed a large volume out of the chamber before I started squishing it again. So if the cam is so darn big, then I'm pushing, you know, a fifth of that out. My compression ratio is not really operationally going to be 10 to 1 anymore. Operationally, it's going to be like 8 to 1, right? It's not going to be the same. Mathematically, it's always swept over unswept volume. But when you take into account when that intake valve shuts and if the cylinder, if the piston is, yeah, but that's a bad word. Just as dynamic compression ratio, I've heard it called that. Yeah, and I get why people say that, but it's weird. You almost don't want to say correct. Exactly. Static compression ratio is, but even then, static compression ratio is only the math of just one over the other. It's not even operationally correct. And so yeah, dynamic would be based on that. The problem with that is the dynamic compression ratio is that without changing anything, that number can change. And so what I mean is other than RPM. So, you know, at idle, that dynamic compression ratio might be 6 to 1. But then at 5,000 RPM, it might be higher than your static and be 12 to 1. And so it's one of those things that you can't easily quantify because it's based on the airspeed moving into the engine and how that affects you know, so many things, right? Like, is the column of air moving into the engine have enough inertia? Does it have enough inertia moving in that the piston moving up doesn't push air out? Instead, it just works on compressing the existing charge. And that's where some of that resonance tuning comes in, and that's why big cams make more power up top, because that column of air has weight, it has inertia, it's pushing down in the cylinders, it's feeding in the cylinders. And even though the piston's moving back up again, the air's still coming in and it's still packing what's in there. It's not like it does at low speed where it blows it back out the intake valve again. So it's I think I'd be more inclined to call it operational compression ratio because it is, you know, such you can't measure it, you know. You can't really measure it, and I don't think you can calculate it, really. It's something you're going to kind of just find, you know, what the engine does. I mean, I could be totally fucking wrong. Who knows, right? I've been wrong before. I got on the calendar. Let me check. When was that again? No, I'm just kidding. It was probably yesterday, you know. I'm married, so I'm wrong all the time. Okay. I'm at the shop. I just got here. What's going on? Let me see if there's anything exciting in the parking lot right now. Although I will admit, I know that exciting for me and exciting for you guys is different. Oh, I need some water. I'm probably one of the few guys that goes to McDonald's and gets water. It even says water on it now. Look at that. That's probably just so people don't steal the shit when they go to the fountain. When they're drinking inside, and they can sit there. Oh, I see that guy. He's using a water glass at the soda fountain. I don't know. All right, let's go see what's up. Oh, big stretch. Oh, shit. Been driving too long. Chase's RS is dirty, windstorm, and driving, but it looks good. It's a wrap. It's called like Dragonfire Red or something like that. And when the sun hits it, it gets really, really goldy, really orange and gold colors. It matches the gold wheels really well. I'm actually really surprised. He's kind of a homo about it because he always airs it out every chance he gets. And when he parks it, it's not aired out right now. So maybe he left this fuckboy at home this morning. I don't know. Holy boxes.
Yeah, I don't know who they are. They say to call Patrick for delivery, but there's no phone number.
Bare Metal Standard Spokane?
Yeah.
Who the fuck is that?
I don't know. Who the fuck's Patrick?
Who the fuck is is it a bomb? Is it taken?
No.
Are you sure? You're gonna die of cardboard poisoning. I wonder what's in them. Some big ass boxes. Say hi.
Hello.
Yo, yo. Hey, Nick's here. Hi, Nick. I think Nick's building engines or something. Or trying to, because the area is so fucking crowded and full of stuff. He looked at me all knowingly, like, you dick, you fucking know it is. Oh, yeah, you must have spent like an hour and a half moving shit around before you came work over here. Yeah, oh, I still have my engine under there, too. I have 2 LS engines that I have not built yet. I need to do them. This one's an LSA. Where is it? This one here, LSA bottom end, or block, sorry, not bottom end. It's just a block. I wanted it for the piston oil squirters because I wanted to do like racing with it in my C5. And I got a billet crankshaft from Cali's, long rods, custom pistons, did the whole fucking thing. And then I made the mistake one day of making a spreadsheet that had all the money I spent on the car. Yeah, don't ever do that. If you want to be happy, don't ever do that. Because I saw that number and I went, holy fuck, that's like a C8. I could buy a C8 for what I'm about to put into the C5. And so then I aborted that project. I mean, crankshaft alone was over $4,000, right? So there's gonna be some money in there. So I aborted that project and said, I'm just gonna give a small build on the Corvette, nothing crazy. Shelf pistons this time, since they're, you know, a third of the price of customs, and regular length rods, and just keep it a 5.7. I'll get a hold of another LS6 block or something, and then I'll just throw that shit in there and swap out in the car. And that sounded fine and dandy, and I even went so far as to buy everything, except I couldn't find a fucking block. I couldn't find a 5.7 block because no one makes them anymore. I mean, why would they, right? Everything's 6 liter or 6.2 and above. So I couldn't find a block. And then I found an LS3 block from a guy that needed a rebuild. So I got the block, had the machine work done. I ordered pistons for it, or ordered pistons first, see if them had the machine work done. So Gibson machine did the machine work on it. And that one has a Cali's crank in it also, but it's their forged Dragon Slayer, I think is the one. And hey, dude, the forged Dragon Slayer crank, because I still wanted the 8 counterweights on the crank, so I'm still going to spin this fucker up. I'm having a great day, actually. And if you saw the beginning of the stream, you would know that. I'm just kidding. So I still wanted the 8 counterweights on the crankshaft because I'm going to spin this bitch to, you know, $9,000 or so. And so anyways, yeah. So that one's a lot cheaper. You know, it's a $1,500 crankshaft instead of a $4,000 crankshaft, and then it was, you know, like $400 set of rods instead of a $900 set of rods. And the pistons were shelf pistons, you know, they weren't custom. So those are definitely way cheaper. And so that's a much more sensical build for the Vet, considering. And then I had that custom camshaft made, which is absolutely ridiculous. I can't wait for that. It's like 300 and something degrees of duration with a 110 center line, I think is what I did, or 111 center line. No, center line, LSA, low separation angle. I think the center line actually is 110 on them too. So, like, it's a meaty cam with a butt whack of overlap. So it's gonna spit and sputter a whole lot. And I don't know how much factory ECU is gonna like it. I may have to put the Haltech in it. I got a Haltech wiring harness and some other shit. I was gonna repin that and put the Adaptronic in the Vet, actually. Since I still have the Adaptronic M6000 that was in my RS I took out. So I was gonna put the Adaptronic in the Vet and just lay an engine harness over the top of it. Because the factory ECU is, you know, it's okay, but flex fuel's wonky and I want to get flex fuel on it.
And I wanted motorsports features. I wanted a launch control and that kind of shit that you don't have on the factory ECU. But unfortunately, because the older ECUs use those long, skinny, wide Delphi connectors, the red and blues or the green and blues, like there's nothing that's plug and play for them, which is, you know, a total fucking bummer. But there's nothing plug and play. So I said, fuck it. I got a wiring harness that's already built. I can just either unpin the stuff I don't need from the factory one, or just lay them on top of it. It'll look ugly with a lot of wires, but it'll run good, and that's what matters. So that one is a 6.2 with normal length rods. I might have went 6.3 rods. Let me double check. Nope, normal length, 6.125s. So, that's still technically longer than stock. Stock's like 6.095 or something like that. And these are 6.125 rods. So not a 6.3 like the other build is. So I'm gonna eventually get off my ass and put those two together and sell one of them and put one in the car.
The other one put in my car.
I mean, if you got $8,000 for it,
I mean, maybe.
just for the short block.
Put it in the yellow car?
Yeah, but I mean, it's just for the short block. All right. I mean, I'm not going to stop you from spending your money. If you want to buy it, you can buy it. Absolutely. But I did talk to a friend today, actually, about your car for you, Tanner. I talked to a guy today who has an LS2 and a T56 for sale. So I figured, with a cam in it and a clutch and everything.
Put that in my car?
For your yellow car, yeah.
That'd be sweet. We'll talk after your video.
Yeah, so I talked to him today about your car. So, I mean, it's just more proof that I think about them more than they think about me. I got you all the time. Like, that skinny motherfucker. I'm glad to see your car on the road, though, not the Forester. Here's that GTR. And these tires are in bad shape. Can't put on the dyno with cord showing. That's just a safety issue and a half. Most likely they'll fail. But I mean, like, it just leaks oil from all the fittings and stuff under here, unfortunately. He's got cool shit. Like, he's got, you know, this Gretty JDM pan and a bunch of other JDM parts on it. I mean, even got these fucking Tane arm thingies and you know, sway bars and coilovers and et cetera, et cetera. Oh, that's what I wanted to show you guys. I was talking about the exhaust, how not good it was. This right here, this bugs the shit out of me, right here. All right, this is not going to support 1,000 horsepower. Sorry. That's not going to do it. Like, you take a straight pipe, cut it at an angle, and weld a flange on it at an angle, and then put another one in. That's not fucking full flow. The gas on this wall is not going to be like, oh, I'm just going to take an instantaneous turn, fucking 20 degrees to the right. Like, no, that's not how that works. There's a bunch of, look at this, look at that. Coupler, some bends, and I mean, it's just not ideal. And it wouldn't have taken shit for timing or for extra time to make this part right here. And then just go whoop to here with a little bend and get it all straight. Like, that wouldn't have taken hardly any extra time at all. But somebody did. And then this exhaust is so pinched right here. Look at this. Can you see that? I don't know if you guys can see that or not. But that's not flowing 1,000 horsepower. There's no fucking way. It turns into a 2 1/4. Maybe 2 3/8. Is that a slip joint too? Holy fuckball. So I got a slip joint, a flange, another flange, a V-band, and then another one up there too. So yeah, that's not beautiful. That's not something I'd be proud of, honestly. I wouldn't be like, dude, check out my exhaust, it's fucking sweet. Look at this beautiful exhaust work I did. No, I'm sorry. That's not nice. I don't know what standard that is, but it's not a good standard. And then, like,
Hey, there's rub marks on here for a reason. Maybe because it's too fucking close. If we can go through the trouble of wrapping this downpipe and building the damn thing, maybe build it this way an extra half an inch? I don't know. Like, come on, people. The fuck? So yeah, not a good one. I'd like to see it improved in short order before it hits the dyno and, you know, breaks his heart because it runs like gas. Or it doesn't run like gas, so it doesn't make power like it should. Is my stream lagging out? I don't know if it was lagging out, or I saw 8 people drop like instantly, so I wasn't sure if something happened. Or if they're like, fuck JDM, GTRs, they suck. All right, well, I think I'm done. I'm done for today until I get on the dyno and do some cool shit. If I get to do cool shit, we'll see what happens. But Tanner, what are you working over there, Tanner?
This is one of your tunes tomorrow. He's getting a block turbo ID 1050s 340 AM pump.
Oh, this is the one with the 380 XT?
Yes.
Or the 440 XT?
I think it might be the 440.
Is he doing a front mount?
No, stock top mount.
A 440 and a stock top mount?
Let me see.
Well, that's not the discussion that he and I had.
440 XT is what he got.
Ooh. That's understandable. Yeah, I get it. So it'll definitely leave some on the table, that's for sure. Stock top mount on a 440 XT. It's gonna be a little well, I can't have that song playing too close to my video. I'll get copyrighted like in a heartbeat.
There you go.
We heard 7 seconds of this song, copyright infringement. Like,
Now you won't get any copyright issues.
right? Yeah. Well, I had Dave Bowie play at the beginning of the video, so by the time I hit done with this, I'll probably have 4 more minute email. Copyright violation. BMG Music. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. I just want to put this publicly. The guys cleaned my dining room for me. I say my dining room, right? But it's actually Chase's dining room. But it's the room that I use and work in. Other than my tires and wheels that I have stacked up in here and my box of shit, they clean up. It's all nice. They swept it out for me. Well, some fresh leaves blew in the other night, but it's all clean. They organized my table for me. That was nice. I appreciate it. Chase! Oh, okay. I forgot that damn. Supposed to bring him a strut. I forgot it. All right. Now I have to say goodbye. I keep saying goodbye, but I just can't quit you guys. Have a good day, y'all.